Hello, I'm Emmeline.
And I'm Kindy.
And welcome to Stuff with Moms, a podcast about shows, stories, and enjoying life. So, Kindy, how was your week this week?
It was good. Anders is going to be starting school next week. And so we had to do his assessment test for kindergarten.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh. It was quite an experience. He had to talk to 3 different ladies, and I was nervous for him, but not nervous. And he was so cute. Talking to one of them, his back was turned to me and Matt, so we kind of poked our heads in a little bit when he was talking to her, and they were just asking questions like, I couldn't hear what she was asking him, the first teacher, but just him talking to a kindergarten teacher, I don't know, I can't explain it. It's like this whole different experience for me as a mom, watching my son go into this new phase of life. And I just, I don't know. I'm happy for him. He's so excited. He's so excited to go to kindergarten.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for him. But I'm like, it's weird, but it's not weird. I don't know. And Emmeline, little M, I got to call her something different when I'm talking to you.
Little Emmeline. Yeah.
Little Emmeline. Yeah. Little M was, we were just kind of hanging out waiting while the teacher was talking to Anders. And she actually was walking, holding one hand of mine for like 10 seconds or something.
Aww.
So that was pretty awesome. So 2 big things this weekend.
Oh, man.
Little M was walking with one hand and doing actually pretty good because she's still trying to get that whole balance thing right. Because I think now that's where she's at. I think she's got the strength to walk. She just can't balance. I don't know. Maybe it's a mix of stuff. And today felt like 2 days. It didn't feel like a long day. It just felt like 2 days. Like I was doing something 3 hours ago and I was like, oh yeah, we went to church today. For some reason, I thought it was the day before, the day after. It's like trippy. I didn't take a nap or anything. For some reason, it just felt like, I don't know. This is very weird. It's a very weird experience. But how is your commuting going?
Oh, it takes up so much of my time. Like 5+ hours every day just driving. Like I can't
that is awful.
do anything other than like listen to stuff. So I've been listening to like scriptures and podcasts, but it's just a huge chunk of my day every day. And one of the days I decided that I was going to, instead of drive back home, to let the dogs out. I'm going to go visit my sister-in-law and her 2 kids. And we went and saw the Barbie movie, which was a lot of fun. So my niece is 8. She sat right next to me and we laughed and we giggled and we just had a good time. And my nephew's younger, and about the last 40 minutes of the movie, I think he was done. He still watched it here and there, but he was like kind of wiggly and stuff. And the theater was pretty empty, you know. It didn't bother anybody else. So we just kind of let him do his thing.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So the first chunk of the movie is just so... I played with Barbies, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Nostalgic. It's everything that I did with my Barbies. You see her like moving around the way you would move your Barbie around to play with her.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like the hands are there, but they're invisible. She's like popping into the car. She doesn't, open the door and get in. She kind of floats down into it. She appears from one level to the next magically. She doesn't really drink anything. She sits and she
Oh my
like
gosh.
cuts her food and then fake eats it, you know, because she can't physically eat the plastic food. I remember the commercial. Editor's note. I had one right here.
Yeah.
I cut out a lot because I got really into talking all about the movie. Stuff in this way, and
You're like getting into this critique moment of where we talk about movies.
That's true. I'm going in our order, aren't I?
Yeah, you're like
I gave a summary. I said
movie.
things I liked. Now I'm going over things I didn't like. You're right. I am. I gotta stop.
Correct.
Maybe
You gotta wait until we both watch it.
We both watch it, and then we can talk about it on the podcast. You're right. All right. Yeah. Well, I'll edit a bunch of that out.
We've done this enough because I've actually thought about that, how frequent we do these podcasts and how it will leak into our normal life, or how we just talk about things and it kind of like dictates kind of what you just did, where I asked you how a movie was and you went all into it.
I did. It was a fun show and we had a good time.
Fun.
And then we went out to eat afterwards, and then I went back to pick up Clark and Lorenzo. So
we did go to I did forget about this. Anders and I went and hung out with his friends. So I could have just let him go and do his thing he's got these two buddies that he met at daycare and he loves them. And so and I get along with the moms. And so we got together, our kids together, because they've been wanting to hang out with each other. And we went and we ate McDonald's and we went and watched the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, the new one that's come out. And I can't remember what my point was with that. I had a point, but it's gone. Anyway, all right, let's move on. So I have the obscure holiday. It is September 13th, Roald Dahl Day. And he has written a ton of books. Celebrated every year on the anniversary of his birthday. So September 13th is his birthday. He's very loved. A lot of his books have actually turned into movies, which is awesome. So ways you can celebrate, I mean, read one of his books, watch one of his movies. If you have children, participate in mischief and mayhem events organized by your local library or bookstores. If there aren't any, maybe this is the time for you to create some in your area. Or have a Roald Dahl themed party where guests dress up like characters from his books.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, and did you know that he was a fighter pilot during the Second World War?
I did.
You would know that. You know all the things.
It's in one of his books.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, that's probably something that is very known by his fans. I actually didn't know he was the creator of all these great movies like Matilda and James and the Giant Peach and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, to name a few. The Fantastic Mr. Fox. That one was so fun. I love that one. So Roald Dahl Day. Go out and celebrate his birthday by celebrating him.
Yay.
And now Emmeline has our word of the day. Word of the week.
All right, Kindy, this one's a noun. It is probity. So what do you think probity means?
Probity. It's fun to say.
It is.
I would say that it is a device used to probe someone inappropriately.
Oh, no.
Like poking them in the bum.
I got no. That's good.
Not in the bum, but on the bum. Not up the bum.
Okay, that's better.
That's what I meant. Not the in the
Inappropriate
bum.
quickly.
Yeah. Super quick. I I shouldn't guess what could be obvious because I know that's not it. All right, so what is it?
It's it's integrity and uprightness.
Oh,
It means
okay.
honesty.
Ah, okay. Probity, responsibility. Okay, definitely
when
not. Nothing to do with probes. Got it.
All right, Kindy, you got our good news with moms.
I do. And this is something that is in Spain. They are having issues with wildfires, which nowadays, who isn't? Because holy crap, Canada and Hawaii are experiencing some really bad wildfires. So in May, conservation organization Rewilding Spain introduced a herd of 10, and I'm going to botch this because I don't know how to pronounce these breeds of horses, but 10 Przewalskis. Have you heard of that breed at all? No? Okay. Like I said, this is Spain, so to the Iberian highlands. Ancient cave paintings in the area suggest that horses similar to those an endangered subspecies of the wild horse roamed the region some 4,000 years ago, and now they're back. So they are introducing 10 horses to help bring back, because apparently they realize that like there's only 10 of them, and that's not gonna impact wildfires happening in the area or not, but they plan on increasing the numbers in the future, and they're trying to see how the animals will interact with the larger landscape to kind of see how this works. But by introducing the horses, they'll enhance the biodiversity. So as the animals graze and browse and knock down dead plants and stuff, they will create half open, half wooded landscapes that favor scavenging species such as vultures and carnivores, such as the Iberian lynx, and their dung will also enrich the soil. So this is just the latest in a series of interventions taking place around the world to harness the positive impacts of grazing mammals on wildfire-prone landscapes. So they're utilizing horses to try and tame outgrown wildlife to reduce the chances of wildfires, but also to kind of reintroduce that whole dynamic that I guess horses bring into the Iberian highlands.
Well, cool. Good luck, horses.
Yay, horses.
Now, for fun this week, since we talked about Roald Dahl Day, we thought it would be cool if we both gave a Roald Dahl book recommendation. And we thought we'd tell you our favorite one and kind of give a recommendation for it. So, my favorite Roald Dahl book, it is called Boy, Tales of a Childhood. Now, the reason I knew he was a fighter pilot, Kindy, is he also tells one of when he's older.
Oh, okay.
They're based on his stories from when he's a kid. And oh my gosh, it's the funniest stuff that's happened in his life. It's when he goes off to boarding school and all the adventures and things he does. It is a hoot. So if you're interested and you haven't read this Roald Dahl book, it is a great one and I recommend it. Gets all the hee-haws and hoorahs and stars and thumbs ups. It's a great one.
Awesome. Okay, I actually haven't read any of his books.
What?
Yeah.
I thought you had.
I have not.
Oh.
I've seen his movies.
Okay.
And so my recommendation would be James and the Giant Peach, because I remember watching that as a kid and I loved it. It was super cute. Just the fact that they're floating on a giant peach and it's all these bugs and stuff. And it's been a while since I've seen it, but that's one that I've just enjoyed and got a kick out of, just their journey. Yeah. Just all the crazy things that this kid got into.
I always, when I was reading that book and they're like, and then they'd eat peach, I'm like, that just sounds like the best thing ever, because I love peaches. They're my favorite.
So good.
I'm like, I'm so glad I moved to the South and I get access to peaches all the time.
That's true. Oh, man.
So the town we're moving into, its water tower, is a giant peach. It's the coolest thing. Every time I drive by it, I'm like, peaches, I want a peach.
All right, so Emmeline has incorrect lyrics with moms.
So we've talked about this in the past. Kindy and I grew up in a time before the internet existed. And you weren't able to just go online and look up the lyrics to the song. You heard it on the radio and you kind of had to make up what sounded best. Yeah, unless you went out and bought the cassette tape that had the lyrics sometimes written on the sleeve in there. But sometimes it didn't. And then we went to compact discs, CDs, and then those like 90% of the time had the lyrics in there. But before then, when you just listened to the radio, before it was even available on cassette tape or a compact disc, you had to just kind of guess. And so I've always been really bad at it. My siblings have kind of a running joke whenever they hear certain songs that I got horribly wrong. They'll be like, "Hey, Emmeline."
Guess what I heard today?
But this time I decided I'd pick Immortals by Fall Out Boy, because this one I was listening to several months ago and I talked to Kindy about it and I was like, I do not know what the lyrics are here. And this is what I think it says, but those aren't real words. So what is it? And so then we looked it up and it doesn't even sound like what they say.
It kind of does.
No, it doesn't. Okay, so Immortals is the song that goes, Immortals. And then this is what I thought. Just like a loaf of low. That's what it sounds like, my friends. But that is not what they say. They say, just not for long, for long. And it does not sound, you can't tell me with a straight face that it sounds like they say, just not for long, for long.
Well, when you are listening to it and you originally think, like, because my hearing's awful, and so I can understand how you thought it was low when it was for long. I don't know though, but there is something missing in that low.
Just not for long. I guess if you get into it, but
because they kind of
just like a low is what it sounds like.
They don't enunciate. It's kind of annoying. There's a lot of songs actually where you're listening to it and you're like, that's not what they're saying. It sounds like this, but it's actually this. It's insane.
So I have plenty of these where this comes from. It might be a weekly thing because
I think it should be.
I suck. I suck at lyrics, guys.
It's part of what makes you who you are. It's fun. Don't never change it. It's awesome. It's great.
We are going to be doing a show quote. I actually think you should do it, and then I'll re-quote it in the end in the voice, because I think I'd give it away if I did it in the voice. Everybody would know instantly what I was talking about. So,
okay. But those were lean times for my father, and our beloved lawn gnome was repossessed. Who would protect our ancient garden from witches' spells and wood trolls?
All right, so guess what show we're going to be watching for next time?
All right, spoilers, people. We are going to talk about That Darn Cat, the 1965 version. We're going to summarize it, what we liked about it and didn't like. Emmeline will have our tally board. We'll talk about 0 to 5 stars, if it's mom approved, and who we'd allow to watch it. And our top 3 is weird animal situations that we have been in or witnessed. All right, so Emmeline, hit us with the summarization.
2 bank robbers kidnap a bank teller, and one is followed home by a roaming neighborhood cat named DC for short. The bank teller, Margaret, slips her watch on DC as a collar. DC returns home, where Patty, his owner, gets the FBI involved on her suspicion that the watch belongs to the missing woman. The FBI tries to follow DC the cat. Jealous boyfriends and nosy neighbors also get involved. Okay, Kindy, what did you think of this movie? Because Kindy hadn't seen it, and I watched it all the time as a kid. Oh, yeah. So we're coming from 2 very different places. I grew up with it, and she'd never seen it before and saw it as an adult. So
I was actually nervous that I wouldn't like it because there's some movies that don't age well.
Right.
There are a lot of 60s movies that are just good, like Breakfast at Tiffany's. Granted, that could have been like a 70s or 50s movie, but that's one of those ones that is really good. But anyway, so there's actually a lot of things I liked about it. So I thought it was hilarious that the hostages were making the bank teller cook for them. And then that the bigger bad guy called her mama, which was so
moms.
Weird.
Yeah, he referenced mother, moms. Yeah.
Yeah. The plural one was more frequent, which I thought was so weird. I was like, is that like some kickback to something? Or I don't know. But I thought that part was hilarious where they're like, she's here. Go cook for us. We brought meat. It's like, okay. And the door's right there.
Yeah.
She never leaves, ever.
Yeah. Well, she knows they have guns.
Yeah, so. That's true. That's true. But that's crazy, though. How crappy would it be to be a hostage and the door's right there? Be like, could I make a run for it?
Yeah.
Do I want to risk it? Yeah. Yeah. I was actually surprised at how gruff they were. For 60s movies, I was really surprised at some of the things that they said and did. I was like, oh my gosh.
At that beginning part, because you meet the bad guys first, and she's just tied up. That's just so scary to me. It made me think of a question. I was like, oh, Kindy, if you were ever in a hostage situation, how do you think you would react? Sorry, this is kind of getting off the subject of the movie right away, but I was like, what would you do if you were kidnapped? Would you have made a run for it? Or would you kind of be like Margaret Miller and just kind of await the perfect time? Because I feel like that's what every show that I've watched about kidnapping, and shows aren't real life. They're all about the drama. But do you kind of wait for a good time to do it, or do you just instantly try to do it? Because they can't shoot her. That would make noise. People would come. So it's like, I should run. I should run.
They talk about how the first 24 hours are the most important with a kidnapping, because the longer time goes by, the likelihood of them getting away with you is higher, and just being able to do whatever. So I think I would fight tooth and nail to not get in that situation.
Let's say that you are the woman in this situation. You've already been kidnapped.
Oh, okay. I have no idea. It's kind of hard to say. I'd probably run because I wouldn't want to wait to see what they would do. Like, that's
Yes.
just, I think that's more traumatizing.
For me, that first instance when she's let go and let it to be in the kitchen alone. Mind you, they're right in the other room. I would run out the door screaming and yelling and, help, I've been kidnapped, the whole way. And then neighbors would come. Because they're in a small apartment building surrounded by other people. So that's what I would have done.
Yeah, same.
So back to our movie. So then Margaret slips her watch over DC's neck and he heads back home. Then we get to meet his family. And DC stands for darn cat. Well, that's the tame version of it.
Oh, okay.
He is at home. Currently, the parents of these two girls are in Europe. So it's just the two girls at home. But the older sister, Ingrid, is a working girl. So she's out of school. She's just working and living at home. And Patty, she's younger. So she decides to fill her time with deciding that this watch belongs to Margaret Miller and she's going to get the FBI involved. One thing I thought was kind of funny is that Patty and her friend Canoe come home from a drive-in movie and he comes inside to make a sandwich and he's laying there watching the news, eating a sandwich, and then
totally oblivious.
Oblivious to things. Yeah. Patty's cleaning and doing things and then she's going to go to bed. And Canoe, he's petting DC because DC came over. He wanted pieces of his sandwich. And he fed him some. And then he's petting DC and he sees the watch on DC's neck. And he looks at the time and he's like, oh, it's late. I got to go. Instead of being like, why is DC wearing your wristwatch?
Right? Well, and when he leaves, I thought it was hilarious because he is so oblivious. And then he wipes his hands on like their designed curtains. Like,
oh yeah. after he rubs all the crumbs that from his sandwich under the couch. We all watched this one as a family, and Kyle watched him do that, and he was like, "Oh no, oh."
I thought it was funny. The smaller bad guy, how he overacts his badness,
his macho-ness.
Where he's like, he just like is staring at her and he like wobbles his face. It's just he was funny to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I love Patty. I love that character. The character and the actress.
Haley Mills plays Patty, and she does a great job.
She does.
Ingrid knows. She's like, don't be like you normally are about situations like this, because Patty tells Ingrid all her suspicions that this is Margaret's watch, and I think it is. And Margaret had scribbled or started to write help on the back, but the wobbly head bad guy comes in and catches her, so she doesn't finish writing the word help on the back of the wristwatch. But Patty tells Ingrid all her ideas that this is her watch. But Ingrid knows. She's like, don't go to the police about this. I forbid you to go to the police station. I forbid you to call them. And then she leaves to go to work. And Patty turns to DC and she's like, well, naturally I wouldn't go to the police. This is a job for the FBI.
Just the whole... anything to do with the FBI and this cat, I thought it was hilarious, where it's like at first you think that they would be like, this is silly, this is a silly theory, and just brush it off. They actually took it seriously. I love that whole thing where it's like they're gonna use a cat as an informant.
Yep.
But my other favorite part is the scene where the FBI agent, what was his name?
Zeke Kelso.
Kelso? Yeah, where he's in the room and he's trying to get a picture of the cat and then get the fingerprint, the paw prints. Because why? I don't know. But I guess it's standard procedure for the FBI to get a picture and fingerprints of their informant. But since it's a cat, he just can only get he tries to get the paw print. So they're trying to get the cat, and the cat hates the agent. And so at some point, they both go to get the cat underneath the bed, and the cat scratches the agent, and Patty notices. She's like, "You're bleeding." And he goes, "Oh, it's nothing. Probably just an artery."
While their parents are away, they have an overly nosy neighbor who likes to keep track of her young neighbors next door. Her name's Mrs. McDougal. And she is a little busybody. If you ever think of a nosy neighborhood busybody, she is it. And she has a husband. He just wants to sit and read his paper and do his puzzles and watch his show. And his wife's, oh, the neighbors have a boy that went into the house. And
yeah. Parents aren't home. What are they thinking?
It's so great. She is so great.
So Canoe comes over to take Patty out to go surfing, and she forgets, and the FBI agent is there, and Canoe can't know about the whole DC's an informant and stuff. So the FBI agent, Mr. Kelso, tells her to get rid of him. So she goes downstairs and pretends to be sick. She's like, "I'm just so weak." And he's like, "Well, then how come I can't get in?" Because the whole time he's trying to push to get into the house, and she's trying to hold the door shut. I love that part.
Me too. It's such a good part. There was a question I had for you. What job does Ingrid have that she is gone from breakfast time until late, that she just comes home and goes to bed? Like, what job is this? I would not want it. What's a 12-hour job? Are there 12-hour jobs?
Especially back then.
Is she a nurse?
Yeah. But she gets a ride with that one guy who owns the coop guy.
You didn't like Gregory?
I did not like Gregory. I didn't like that she was fascinated with Gregory.
And Patty kind of puts it to her. She's like, "Ingrid, why do you like this guy? He's not good for you." And she's like, "Are you that desperate?" And Ingrid's like, "I'm not desperate. Don't say that about me." Kind of gets huffy about it. Gregory is quite... he's just icky.
Yeah. He's one of those, and I'll say boy, who dotes on his mother.
Yep, he does. And he is a little bit full of himself. He thinks he is God's gift to women.
Yep.
And that Ingrid should feel just delighted that he makes time for her.
Yeah.
Zeke goes back and he gets all these agents together that are going to be tailing DC through the city. And he starts listing off all these qualities that the informant has. He hasn't told them that it's a cat yet, but he starts listing off all these things. Nationality, Siamese.
Color of his eyes.
And then...
color of his hair.
Of his fur. Yes, fur. And then he shows the picture that it's a cat. And they're like, "How do you tail a cat? They go through things and over things." And he's right. Like, that would be tricky as a human being to follow a cat that can jump, that can climb up trees and can jump over fences and run along the tops of fences and disappear into somebody's backyard. And you're like, how do I follow that? I have no idea. So...
yeah, or even find out that where they're going is the bad guys, because the cat goes into so many people's backyards. It's like every time he did, I thought the FBI is gonna think that these guys are bad guys. The FBI are gonna think these guys are bad guys, and so I thought that was interesting. So before they follow him, the cat isn't going anywhere. And so Patty is telling Zeke that he goes out around 9 o'clock and nothing's happening. And so Patty's like, well, because he thinks something's up, so we got to act normal. And so she's all trying to act normal. And the FBI agent is just staring at DC. And they're talking about DC. And Patty is telling Zeke to watch what he says around DC. And he's like, why does he understand what I'm saying? And she's like, not everything, of course. He's a cat, but mostly everything.
So they decided on night number 2 that it was too many agents, that they wanted to try again with just Zeke following DC. And so they get a transmitter collar and they put it on DC where he can kind of track him with a little radio transmitter device. He made 2 collars. So Patty takes one and hides Ingrid in a closet in the house and throws one of the collars in there with her. And she's like, Zeke will come find you to show you how it works. So Zeke's waiting around. He got everything all ready, and now he's waiting around for DC to leave. And in his little headphones, he's like, let's get going. He thinks DC is talking and he's going crazy. And it's Ingrid in the other room talking into the other collar like, come on, come find me. Let's get going. Why haven't you found me yet? And he's like, oh, I thought that was the cat. Yeah, that was great.
I liked how the old man called the cops on his wife. the nosy neighbor.
Mr. McDougal.
Yeah, Mr. McDougal called the cops on Miss McDougal because she left the house to spy on everybody else spying on the cat to see what was going on. And he's just telling the cops, he's dressed like a woman. Peeking into everybody's windows.
Oh, and the cops find her right away.
Yeah.
And one of the cops says, he's like, I don't want to tell you how to run your business, but you should dress like a woman. You don't have the face for it.
Yeah.
When they bring Mrs. McDougal back the next day, she tells the cops as they let her out. They're like, we're really sorry. And she's like, you should stay here. It will save time. I'm going in the house to murder someone. I do have a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
So do you think if Patty was a real person, would she just quit after this? Or she solved a major crime on one of her theories? She would totally keep going. Well, it sounds
like she had done it. Oh, yeah. I think she'd keep going because she did it before, apparently, which is why her sister told her specifically to not call the cops. And she's like, okay, I won't. I'll call the FBI. So the next time something happens, she'll call the CIA.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So what do you think it would take to make her stop?
I think it would have to be something that would affect her or something that would affect her family in a negative way. Like someone she cares about for her to stop.
And then another question. How do you think they trained that cat to do all that stuff? That was a well-trained cat.
Well, there's some parts where you can tell that someone hoisted it up onto the fence.
Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of parts where they chop. Just get this one part where the cat's walking and then go back to the actors or something. But the way they chopped it in, and it made it look like this cat had like facial reactions to things like, oh, what was that? Oh, there's somebody following me. Oh, I gotta be charming here. You know, like they did a good job. They did a good job with this cat.
They did a good job. I have no idea what goes behind training a cat. There's definitely a lot of parts where they just had to do it with the cat. Like at the beginning where the cat interacts with the dog. Like I think they just have to do a lot of it with the cat by itself, and then with the dog, and then with the dog and the cat, and just, yeah, like you said, just doing a lot of cuts.
But there's parts where, like, Patty's holding the cat and petting the cat, and the cat attacks other people and never turns and attacks Patty. Like, I'm like, that's a good cat. Did like Dean Jones have to just always be mean to this cat so that it would hate him? Like,
maybe she had catnip and then he had something that the cat didn't like a toy or
a smell.
A scent. I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you not like about the movie, Kindy?
I did not like the couple, the McDougals.
Uh-huh.
I liked him. I did not like her. I did not like it when she hit him on the face with the rag.
I know.
Either she really hit him or he's really good at making it look like he got hit. But I hated that part. I did not like her at all.
There's two parts I don't like in the movie, and they both kind of have the same reason why I don't like them. So I'll just say both of them. So Zeke is setting up the first night, and he's getting everything ready, and he's talking to all the other agents, and she thinks that this is a perfect time to just chit-chat with Zeke. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not the time to ask him how he likes his job. And he is busy doing his job. Like, let him be. That drove me crazy. And then the other thing that I don't like is Ingrid comes in and sees Zeke Kelso and starts arguing with Patty loudly. And he's obviously on a walkie-talkie and doing stuff. And I think if you see somebody doing that and you're told, by your sister, whom you trust. Yeah, a stranger, if he told me to be quiet, I'd be like, why are you telling me what to do in my room?
Yeah.
But then your sister's like, let me tell you this outside the room where we can, discuss things. I will tell you why he's here. Instead of them arguing, like, it felt like forever. While he's trying to do what he can to find these kidnappers, these bank robbers. And
it could have been filler because they didn't get as many takes maybe with the cat, but yeah, that scene was a little too long. I did not like Ingrid. I did not like her character. I did not like her at all. I didn't like how she looked like she didn't want to be kissed by Gregory, and then she was disappointed when he didn't kiss her. I was like, why were you like all anxious and nervous and then he didn't kiss you and you're like, drat. It's like, okay. I just thought that was weird. Any scene that she was in, I couldn't tell if she was like intentionally talking really high pitched or that's just her voice, but then she had a decent voice in other scenes. And so I was like, well, that's not it. I did not like her character. So any scene with her in it, no.
I don't like the two bad guys just expecting her to cook for them. This person that she knows they're going to try and kill her. And they just expect her to cook. I'd be like, what can I poison this food with? Right. But maybe they made her like eat it first so that they'd know if it was poisoned or not. I don't know. But I was just like, oh my gosh. Those jerks. Yeah. And we're going to kill you, but we aren't going to kill you now because we need you to cook for us.
Yeah. We can't have dead weight right now. We'll wait until
we'll wait till after dinner.
Yeah.
And I hated all of Patty's ways she wanted to help, and she's told, don't do that, and she does it anyway. I don't
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
her character's like kind of just oblivious. She's kind of like Canoe at the beginning, but the whole time where she just does what she wants, she knows best. And it actually works out because her nosiness and helped solve the crime, because if she hadn't have made that call to pretend like she was the jeweler's niece, they
Oh,
wouldn't have
that's the
caught the
best.
bad guys.
That's the best. Mr. Hofstetter.
Yeah.
Oh, no, no, no.
Yeah.
Just think the paper will say, Mr. Hofstetter. He could have saved her. Oh, it would say that.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Hofstetter. So we'll do our tally board now. So I kept track of 4 things. Canoe's suspicious or confused looks that he gave Patty. How many times do you think that happened?
7?
It was 10.
Okay.
Mrs. McDougal spying.
5.
6. Zeke Kelso sneezing.
14.
12. Gregory saying the word mother.
11.
12.
Oh, okay.
And then, is the movie title said in the film?
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised when we started this, doing the tally board and noticing if the title was mentioned in the film. I actually thought it would be the reverse, where it wouldn't be said. But it's actually, there's a lot of movies where they actually intentionally try to have the name of the movie in the movie.
Yep. It's pretty great. So now we've got our star rating. So, Kindy, what would you give That Darn Cat?
Well, it's hard because I got a kick out of it, but I wouldn't go back and watch it unless I was hanging out with you and you were like, let's watch this movie. Although I would still suggest watching another movie. So I would probably give it a 2.
Okay.
It's good to watch if you're just in the mood for an old-timey movie. I'm not a huge fan of movies where it's like slapstick comedy, where it's like there's a bunch of fumblings.
Slapstick comedy is where there's a bunch of like purposefully people getting hurt to make it funny.
Yeah. Although there wasn't a whole lot of that in this one, thankfully. I was nervous that there would be. I guess they kind of do it to Canoe because he gets stuck in a garage.
Oh, poor Canoe.
But yeah, I think it would be a 2. I don't think I'd watch this movie again.
Okay. See, I have grown up watching this movie. I think it's delightful. I love it. I wouldn't watch it all the time, but I give it a 4 because I just think it's great.
I'm glad you suggested it. It's a good movie. It was
Okay.
fun.
Mom approved. This is okay for everybody.
Yep. I agree.
Which we watched as a family. So, and my boys, Clark cracked up right away. Like when DC goes to eat the dog's food and the dog looks at the top of the fence and then back at DC and then is like, hey, wait a second, that's the cat that I was just barking at, and goes and chases. Clark laughed for like 2 minutes about that part. Oh, he just loved it from the get-go. So it's a movie for everybody. Anybody could watch it.
It is. Most definitely.
And
okay, so
before we move on, I do want to say I did, when that newer version of this movie came out, That Darn Cat, that was made in, I don't know, the late 90s or
1997, I think.
Yeah, in the late 90s it came out, and I watched it and I don't remember it And for me, that means that the movie is bad. If I don't remember a movie and I know I've watched it, that means it's a bad movie. That's my superpower, is I can forget movies I don't like.
Bad movie.
But I do remember that they
Nice.
tried to make everybody funny in the movie. Like, the
Ooh.
bad guys were funny and the good guys were funny. And everybody was just this hokey person. They weren't like believable, real people. And this movie has believable, real people in it, which is what made it a good movie. So don't watch the new one. It's dumb. Because I can't remember how dumb it is. That means it was really dumb.
All right. So, top 3 weird animal situations that we have been in. Emmeline, you go first.
Okay. I know I've mentioned my old dog, Misty, that was a beagle before. And these could have all been about Misty, but I decided I'd spread it out to other animals. We had an apple tree in our backyard, and if you threw her an apple, she'd like attack it and then eat it.
No way.
Yeah. And they were like little sour things, like, but
Oh,
it
so
was
like not ripe.
no, not ripe. There were ones that like
so
fell out of the
growing.
tree during a windstorm or something. They were about the size of a tennis ball, and they were the color of a tennis ball because they were green apples. And she would just rip them apart. And it was really funny to watch. And then we lived on this ranch that my dad was a caretaker of. And the owner wanted to breed jumping horses. And so that's where I learned what mating was. Interesting.
Oh man. Yeah.
I was like, what's going
Shocking.
on? Ah! Another weird thing is my sister Jonica, she had a dog named Zoe. And Zoe, we liked to say that she had a crush on Tim, my younger brother. And whenever Tim would sit on the ground and Zoe was around, she would get like dim bedroom eyes and go over to Tim and try humping him. Every time. Like,
just Tim.
No matter what. Yeah, she liked Tim. Or she was like, I need to be in charge of him, because that's how dogs show dominance. So maybe that was what she was trying to do. But she would always, if he sat on the floor,
like, you're in my pack now.
She'd be like, Tim. All right, your turn.
So I too had an experience where, so we lived on a goat farm in Linden growing up, and it was mating season. And I remember seeing the male goat mount the female goat, and I started crying because I thought he was attacking her. And my mom was right there, and she's like, no, it's okay. He's not hurting her. They're trying to make babies. And I was like, okay. That's what I thought. I thought he was trying to hurt her. So, and then on the same goat farm, I would always leave the house early in the morning, and my mom would often find me in the pen with all the little baby goats, and they would eat my hair off. So
what? They did?
They gave me a haircut. Yep.
Oh.
Because I was in there long enough. One time.
Oh, man.
Eating away. I bet it was so fun, though. Their little lips just nibbling away. I was young enough. I don't remember. This was a story my mom told me. And then Harley, our cat that is gorgeous, she sits in the oddest places. You'll find her in the sink in a bathroom, or when we were getting ready to get things for Anders' arrival, she would sit in a car seat. She would sit in and like lay down in his little bouncy thing where it's like the little bouncy thing that you pretty common and when you have kids. And then what was something else? She would just be in, like, I have tons of pictures of her just being in places that our other cats wouldn't be. Like, it kind of makes sense for cats to be in small, odd places, but I mean, she went with it. One time where I have a picture of her, our entertainment center door was open, and so she's just sitting in the shelf. And none of the other cats would sit where she would go. She just would sit in random places. So
if I fits, I sits.
Yep, that was definitely her philosophy.
All right, our next episode. Oh, I'll redo the quote.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do it in the voice, and then you guys are instantly gonna know. Hopefully my version of his voice is good. But those were lean times for my father, and our beloved non-gnome was repossessed. Who would protect our ancient garden from witches, spells, and wood trolls? So if you didn't know who that was Dr. Doofenshmirtz. And our next episode, we are going to watch the first 5 episodes of Phineas and Ferb. So if you want to watch those ahead of time and listen in on the discussion, please do so.
Yeah. And Phineas is spelled Phineas. And Ferb is just Ferb, because when I was trying to look it up, I totally spelled it wrong. But thankfully, it still popped up. So they're trying to look for it, and that's how you spell it.
We'll talk about that. Kindy has not ever seen Phineas and Ferb. And I was like, what? It's the best cartoon out there.
I actually started...
Oh, you did? Nice.
Well, I started the first episode yesterday. I only got like a couple minutes into it. And Anders was like, Mom, you're watching Phineas and Ferb. Like, he got all excited that I was watching it. So maybe me and him will watch this one together.
Oh, good. That's awesome. We would love to hear from you. We love your input, your comments, anything you want to give us. If you want to say, ooh, can you guys talk about this? We would love that. If you have like suggestions, we love all that stuff. So if you want to get in contact with us, our website, Facebook, and our email, they're listed in the show notes. So you can just contact us any of those ways. And yeah, we love hearing from you guys. We love our listeners.
We do. We really do. We also would enjoy going out into the world with our voices. So if you could help us grow, tell others, share something that you may have learned from us with them, if that is at all possible, especially with the word of the week and how atrociously horrible I guessed at that one. Pretty bad. So, yeah. We would like to thank Red Productions for the music and Jonica for the logo. And our listeners, as always, we appreciate you. So, Anders, I showered this morning, and after my shower, he comes into my bedroom and says, Mom, you smell like lotion. I was like, yeah, is that good or bad? He goes, it's good. And then he said, you also smell like juice. I should drink you up. Oh, okay.
That's cute.
Yeah.